the people around you are also in speech classes. Speech 100, 102, 104, 107, 120, you're all required to be here, and we appreciate you coming here and supporting the speech team. For those individuals in the back that are standing, there are plenty of seats in the center section here, and over there are seats. So please feel free to come and sit down, because this will be a 90-minute show. I promise I'll get you out of here in 90 minutes. So if you have to make that last bus, you'll be able to make that last bus out of MJC. But come on in and sit down, relax. The Modesto Junior College Speech and Debate Team is the oldest competitive team on campus. We actually have a document from 1924 talking about the debate team here on campus, and we have a poster that shows that the Modesto Junior College debate team is going to hold a debate against UC Berkeley in the Modesto High School auditorium back in the 1920s, which I always found pretty fascinating. I guess there wasn't an auditorium on the MJC campus at that time. The other really fascinating thing about the speech team is back in the 1920s, in competition, we were the only community college debating against four-year universities. And at that time, the director of forensics was a Mr. Oscar Smith. And Oscar was a really strong debate coach because the Modesto Junior College students were beating the UC Berkeley teams consistently. So much so that UC Berkeley actually put forth a proposal at that point in time in competition that they do away with decisions in debate. And so let's just debate for the educational effort, and let's not talk about who wins and loses, because Berkeley was getting embarrassed that their debate team was losing to a junior college. The best thing about being the director of forensics here at Modesto Junior College with that type of lineage is that you will meet debaters today who have also continued that tradition in beating UC Berkeley at tournaments. So, today we have speeches for those of you in 100, 102 classes. We have persuasive speeches and debate for those of you in 104 and 107 with critical thinking. And we even have an interpretation of literature for those of you in speech 120 interp classes, or possibly some of you from the Reader's Theater classes that the speech department holds as well. But today you're going to be meeting individuals who are some of the top right now in Northern California, because we just came home from our first tournament. And you'll also be meeting some individuals who are the top in the state and the nation for community college speech and debate students. We traditionally, over the past 7 or 8 years, have brought home students who are first or second or third in the nation in some of the events that you'll be seeing this evening. And that's a really proud feeling. And you should feel proud to be at a junior college that has that much type of talent, because we've kept that up. For all of you in speech, if you are here on the East Campus, when you're up there on the second floor of Founders Hall, if you look at the wooden cabinet, those are all the national champions that have been here over the past few years. We even have instructors who are teaching here who used to be a national champion in third place in the nation in persuasive speaking at one point in time was Professor Michael Akard, who now teaches in the English department. So sit back and relax and enjoy this evening. Certainly, I also have to recognize that I am never able to make this team the national champions that they are. I have help from individuals. Certainly, all of your speech instructors give me help throughout the year, help to find the talent. Some of you sitting out there might be joining the team in the spring because your speech instructor comes to me and says, hey, I have a student in my class who I think could become your next state or national champion. And so some of you sitting out here and maybe watching Speech Night for the very first time, this is going to be the beginning of your adventure. But also I have individuals who volunteer their time or they come in and help me assist with the team. The first individual I'll talk about is a multifaceted individual who loves poetry and reading and theater, and he also has been a track coach here at Modesto Junior College. And so please give a round of thank you to Rob Taylor, one of my assistant coaches. And this year, for the very first time, I don't have to be the only director of forensics. I have a co-director of forensics. And so hopefully his students will make an even louder noise. But please give a round of applause to Mr. Daniel Lopez.
Hello everyone and welcome to the MJC Forensics Team Speech Night. As you will notice, I am the only person not in a suit tonight. I was afraid that my baby face would convince you all that I was on the team. Before we get started with introducing the team members, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the activity that we do and to remind all of you to embrace the challenge of public speaking. We often think of it as this intimidating activity, but developing a personal voice might be the most important skill you take out of your experience at MJC. And it is a personally liberating thing to conquer a fear, which is something that most of us feel towards public speaking. And the people who engage in this activity and who compete, give up 1, 2, 3 weekends a month, they face that fear all the time in order to better their public speaking skills. And I would embrace you all to recognize that while you take that challenge on a smaller scale in your classes, that it's an important challenge to take up and that it can have a positive influence on your life. And hopefully, if it's a challenge you enjoy having in your classes, you'll join us at MJC Forensics and compete with all of our other fun forensics-obsessed people. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you the 2013-2014 Modesto Junior College Forensics Team. Starting on the far right, we have Melinda Dotson, joined by Emily Akers. Clarissa Autry. James Bow. Rachel Carr. Kelly Gay Kearley. Javier Coriz, who some of you might recognize as your speech tutor. Paul Figueroa, Mikey Gonzalez, Holly Hasabakis, Jacob Holman, Nicole Klinker, Sterling Mays, Brittany McCall, Shannon McCall, Jamal Nagy, Michael Rorick, John Salmon, Ronald Thompson, Shannon Tower, and Montana Webb. Your 2013 and 2014 MJC Forensics team. Folks, if you have an empty seat next to you, could you please raise your hand? We need everyone to get out of the aisles so that we do not pose a fire hazard. Get shut down before we even get to watch people speak. It'd be very tragic. Yeah, right? And actually have our... Don't take it personally if people don't sit next to you. A lot of seats. Our first performer tonight will be showing you an event that some of you may already be familiar with, or some of you may be getting ready to do in your classes, the informative speech. And the informative speech is what we call a public address event, or a PA for short. And its purpose is to inform the audience on a topic with which they might not already be familiar. Today's speaker, Jacob Holman, will be doing his speech on mental imaging and the wonderful effects it will have on our future. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jacob Holman.
Dom Cobb is an industrial spy, one of the best. He is so good at his job that he can do it in his sleep, literally. Dom Cobb, dream snatcher, gets his intel from his victims' dreams. While the tools of Dom Cobb's trade are purely from the imagination of Inception creator Chris Nolan, a September 9th, 2013 article from the Singularity Weblog website, a science think tank, explains that there is an emerging field of science that may make this possible. That field is mental image decoding, or mental imaging for short. According to a Popular Science website article on September 12, 2013, mental imaging scientists can use mental imaging to see what you dream. And may provide new insights into the process of dreaming that could possibly break one of the longest mysteries in human biology, why we dream. Described by university professor Andrew Reed in his online publication, Science in Our World, as mind-blowing. Mental imaging is an impactful field with immeasurable potential, which is why we need to effectively and cautiously evaluate its possibilities that are emerging before our very eyes. To conduct a proper evaluation, we will first doze off as we learn about what mental imaging is. Then, we will drift off to dreamland as we watch its applications before finally waking up to the reality of its implications. So in order to do this, let's lay down our heads as we unravel the process of mental imaging, and do this by examining the process of neural decoding. According to the Dana Foundation, in a briefing paper on August 30th, 2013, neural decoding is the process that scientists use to determine which neurons in the brain are affected when introduced to different stimuli. Mental imaging scientists use a functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, scanner to take snapshots of brain activity, creating a library of neural information to be used for reconstructing what image is currently being viewed. The UC Berkeley Department of Systems and Computational Neuroscience explains that in order to project a mental image from the brain, first, the neural information is put into a computer program to produce visual imagery on a computer monitor. Then, the scientists check the accuracy by comparing the image reconstruction with the actual image the subject observed. Second, mental imaging has a close cousin in dream projection. According to the Guardian website, on April 5th, Yukiyasu Kamitani of the ATR Computational Neuroscience Laboratories in Kyoto, Japan, and his colleagues conducted an experiment by which they were able to use fMRIs, adding electroencephalography, to predict the content of a dream with 80 to 85% accuracy. In addition, an instructional video by biologists Michael Moffat and Gregory Brown on June 3rd discussed an earlier experiment by Dr. Kamitani's lab, demonstrating that when shown pictures of simple pixels, black and white, like the letter T, the image was fed into the computer program software and then stored in its library. Then, the subjects were shown a simple string of letters and produced fairly accurate reconstructions. Now that we've dozed off learning about mental imaging, we can now rapidly move our eyes over the applications, constructing external and physical manifestations of mental images. Mental imaging presents a unique opportunity to manifest mental images from inside the brain. This can be done through mediums such as visual display monitors, 3D or image projectors, and 3D printers. According to an August 16, 2013 personal interview with UC Berkeley professor Jack DeLong of Systems and Computational Neuroscience, each of these mediums will allow a person to externally manifest the image present in their brain until they choose to stop. In the case of 3D printers, this will enable the making of physical constructs for practical use, such as printing that furniture you have always imagined for your home. In other cases, mental imaging would enable those unable, through lack of artistic skill or through physical ability, to reproduce the image present in their minds. Now, a more futuristic application of mental imaging is touchable holograms. According to the University of Tokyo's Shinoda Labs website, on April 30th, 2013, ultrasonic waves, sound waves beyond human hearing, are used to create pressure against other objects, effectively creating physical objects out of sound. According to an interview by NTDI News with Hiroyuki Shinoda, professor at Tokyo University, on July 30th, 2011, touchable holograms have a wide range of uses, from light switches to tables that can appear when needed and disappear when unneeded. Finally, let's reduce our rapid eye movement and wake up to the realities that await us by evaluating the implications of mental imaging. The most prominent implications of mental imaging are that it will better our understanding of brain functions, how private persons will function with this technology, and present legal and ethical issues through extreme levels of social monitoring. A May 10th, 2013 PLOS ONE journal article on neurological structure explains that the structure of the human brain is built on a modular architecture, meaning that the parts of the brain that perform separate tasks are all linked together. The article further explains that this means when one area of the brain is better understood, we gain a better understanding of all other areas as well. As we advance our understanding, we will be able to make breakthroughs in other areas of the brain, leading to greater precision in difficult brain surgeries, more accurate and precise psychological evaluations, as well as better understanding of how pharmacological drugs will affect the brain. However, beyond all of these amazing accomplishments, the Journal of Visual Impairment and Blindness from July 2012 reveals a monumental breakthrough. Mental imaging technology will finally allow us to see what the blind see. Next, the legal hazards are a major concern. U.S. citizens are not protected against neural decoding by the government. Nita Fairman, Leah Kaplan Visiting Professorship in human rights. Explained in a lecture at Stanford University on April 26, 2012, that under the current interpretations of the First, Fourth, and Sixth Amendments, U.S. citizens are not protected against mental imaging by the government. In addition, this will have ramifications on property and copyright laws, as we will be able to reproduce thoughts in order to determine the original owner of a particular property. According to an article by the University of Texas Pan American Department of Biology, last accessed September 16, 2013, brain imaging technology presents the possibilities of determining if a person is lying, concealing information, or has predispositions to particular behaviors. And this is just at the present levels. Ethics will have to be rewritten because it has never been possible to take such vivid information so directly from the brain. In our interview, Dr. Gallant explained that beyond simple interrogation of people, this technology will make thought police a reality. However, unlike the fictional unit from Orwell's 1984, these police would have the ability and right to scan your mind for information. Fortunately, Dr. Gallant believes that medical applications for this technology are approximately 10 years down the road, 20 years for specialized applications, and 50 years for commercial applications. The time delay will allow for our ethics and legal systems to be able to account for and adjust to this field. Today, we have seen our once science fiction work becoming a reality. First, we laid down in order to learn about what mental imaging is and how it's done. Then, we remmed over the applications before finally waking up to the realities of a dreamlike world. Now, as fun as it might be to be Dom Cobb, Dream Snatcher, it seems that it will be a long time before anyone can use dreams as a form of espionage. However, it might not be so long before you can finally turn your world, figuratively and literally, into everything you have ever dreamed of.
interpretation today, and she's doing a dramatic interpretation. And what a dramatic interpretation is it's a telling, an 8 to 10 minute piece of literature that they tell. And the person has to fully embody everything that the character is. So whether that be their age, or sometimes their gender, or even their posture, they have to enact this the best way that they can. The person presenting this is my sister Shannon. Shannon, this would be her first semester on the speech and debate team, and actually also the first time she's ever performed this piece in front of people. So I want a round of applause for Shannon.
Okay, we'll do 5 minutes, and then I'm going back. What's your question? No, he didn't want anything. He just wanted to walk away. He did take the hairdryer, though. Sure. All Marianne wanted was the perfect marriage. A husband who cared for and paid attention to her. Being interviewed by her daughter Caitlin about her divorce doesn't exactly bring back positive memories. For men, marriage is the pinnacle of relationship success. Unfortunately, this comprises the majority of married life. As a result, marriage must become the poor maintenance and forces us to reevaluate our entire views on relationships. You better sit down. Tales from My Parents' Divorce by Caitlin Thorne. My roommate Marty had a crush on him at Georgetown. And it was either that year or the next, he was voted by the freshmen as their favorite professor. No, he did not come in my room. Caitlin, please. These were the dark ages. You couldn't have any nice in your room, unless you wanted to get thrown out. Okay, well, he was always kind of weird. This one time we went to this nice club in Georgetown with music and food and dancing, and your father lies down on one of those benches by the doors. The man lies down flat on his back and asks me if I'll put nose drops in for him. I was mortified. His head was kind of leaning over the side of the bench the drops would go in. And I did it. No letters, no cards. Romance wasn't exactly his forte. We liked going to the movies. Looking back on it now, it probably was a lot of fun because we didn't have to talk that much. I don't know, but I like speaking to him intellectually, on an intellectual level, but I don't think we ever really connected on an emotional level. I think that he had a hard time showing emotion of any kind. I had a strict Catholic upbringing. I went to an all-girls school, so men were always this mysterious thing over there. I really grew up thinking that men had all the questions and knew all of the answers, and that I had to catch up. We were both Roman Catholics. We came from Catholic families and a Catholic environment. So you got married, you had kids. It wasn't a question of wanting, it was a question of you did. We got married at the OLPH, Our Lady of Perpetual Help. Boy, did we ever need it. He enjoyed cleaning. He loved my food. Before kids we had, I think I told you about the gourmet cooking club we started. Gourmet, being that you had to follow the Gourmet magazine recipe. We didn't care what it was, you just had to follow it. When we first started, he wanted to be president. I thought, that's great, I love politics. But then my views changed. I had 4 kids, and my focus became, what can I give them? He was forever painting something. One of our handymen told me once, he paints too much. I said, I know. Our house is getting smaller and smaller because there's so many coats of paint on the walls. I was always so scared I was going to mess up. With a napkin wrong or something. One of the biggest fights we ever had, your father insisted on getting a smaller car. I said to the salesman, how many people does this fit? He said 4. Your father thought that we only had 2 kids. I said, that's great. We've got 4. The guy just stared at me. And I stared at your father, and we left. Your father screamed at me the entire way home. I mean, he screamed at me the entire way home. So, that's the reason we never went anywhere. Once my mother was watching all of you guys, I came up to New York City. I got off the bus and he met me there. And he said, I don't want to talk about the kids. I want to talk about something else. I don't want to hear about the kids. And I was just so hurt because that was my life. I never mentioned divorce to my mother. I would have been too ashamed. You just don't do that in a Catholic family.